kit components, I'm not going to go too much into detail on this because this requires a whole class just for me to show you how this works. But let's say you have an engine change kit, right? And in that engine change kit, there is 40 parts, packing, screws, bolts, etc. You can create a kit component and sell the entire kit. I can tell you, when I was a mechanic, whenever I changed a fuel control or something that was on the flat line, I loved kits because they came complete with everything and everything that I didn't need. So kit components are great. Uh, Analysis, it will give you an analysis based on this part. How many times have you sold it? How many times have they requested quotes, etc., right? So sales orders, I mean, of course, we're not going to have any real data here. That's what this is, right? So 1980. Okay, so you can tell that the data is a little old, but it will give you exactly that. It will give you a snapshot of what this part is, right? So this is Power BI 1995. Okay. Priceline, I mentioned what Priceline is. So
Yes.
it's what recorder, if I wanted to create a Priceline. Yeah, so if I created one, a Priceline for a customer, right? I'm just going to briefly go over this. And the Priceline for this particular company, every time that we sell to ADC Air Limited, I want you to tell the price, not only discount, but I want you to sell it 15% more, right? I thought I was going to say it's a discount, but if I do it as negative 15, it's actually creating it as an add-on, right? So if I sell the flight recorder, every time I sell the flight recorder to this particular company, it's going to add 15%. I know it's kind of confusing because there's a negative 15. It would actually add 15% of my current cost every time I sell this part to ABC Air. Okay. All right. Summary, pretty much a summary of everything related to this particular part number. Approved vendors, extremely doubt you will use this, but you can select approved vendors for this particular part. There is a setting in the where you can tell the system that you are only going to buy from those approved vendors. Okay. If you're what it's called, CSA, I can't remember the term right now. Yeah, so if you're that, this might be something you will use. But then you would show what food vendors you have for this particular part. Again, in Quantum, you can turn on a radio button that will say you can only buy from your vetted vendor. Okay? And then we go back to the global button, which we already spoke about. Global is like main menu. Okay, but we didn't talk about what global can do on their inventory. And I'm going to show you some of my favorite things that you can do with global in inventory, which is part one. I love it. So if I go global part warning, and I'm going to add a call. So I created this warning. Okay, and now the system is going to ask me, okay, where do you want to apply this warning for the flight recorder? And I'm going to select every time I create a customer quote, every time that I create a purchase order, and every time that I create a repair order, I want you to warn me. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to go and create a repair order. I'm going to go here. I'm going to select Add. And I'm creating a repair order to a CER date. And I'm going to send them my A100 part. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK. And I want you to see what is the purpose of these warnings. All right, so I'm going to click Add. A120. Oh, there's my warning. So there is no excuse when somebody says, oh, I didn't know that, whatever, you know. I mean, the warning could be anything. Do not tell ICE customers. The warning could be anything that you can think of, and you can apply it in every single screen that you want to apply it to, right? And then the user can just select continue, yes. this is going to continue to appear as they move on to the different screen. So it doesn't just come out once, okay? As they create an invoice, as they create anything else, that warning will continue to pop up. So it is one of the coolest things that you can do with warnings for parts. But you can also create terms and conditions based on this part. So every time I sell the flight recorder, there's a specific term and condition that only applies to this part, right? And it could be anything, right? Every time I sell a 100 part, the return period is only 14 days for this particular part. Every time I sell a particular part, that term and condition will apply automatically to the flow, to the sales order, to the end. So there's a lot of automation that can be done directly from the global. Right. Let's quickly jump over to what we're going to be covering in our next session. Okay, so in our next session, we're going to be covering company management. Well, before I go off on company management, do you have any other question regarding the inventory model?
Yes. That in customer codes for markup, instead of percentage, can we add a value?
So instead of markup, can you add what?
Value. Say for example, I want to add $400, like $350 instead of percentage.
Yeah, you could if you have a fixed cost. Every time you buy this a 100, every time you buy this, it costs you $300, right? Every time you buy it, but price that you want to sell it to this customer is always $700. So if you have a cost, the reason I did percent is because purchase price to be variable, so that's why I did it based on a percentage. But if you have a fixed cost that every time it's going to be this price, yes, you can't add that you're always going to sell it to this particular customer $400 more. So as you can see, we did it right here. We did unit cost is 300, but we're always going to sell it for 700 to ABC Air Limited.
Okay. Yes, and the one more question is like the numbering format. What we discussed, how to customize that for PO in. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's navigate here where it says user system setup. And let me just so user system setup. If I go to global settings, I can change. Now these settings are usually reserved or whoever is the database administrator. I'm assuming it's you. If I go to global settings, you can change a lot of things here. Now, the reason I say that this is reserved for administrators is because any change that you do here that are called global settings affects everyone. This is not just based on the user. This affects everyone. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do from global settings. I'm colorblind, so I like to play with the colors, believe it or not. I like to use bright colors. I can make, instead of just this little red, I can change the red to be gold. Right, so now it's going to look like that, very strong, bold red. You can do that, and you can change the numbering block, right? So let's say for customer quote, instead of 100,020, I want to start at 1,000. Okay. Now they cannot be alphanumeric.
Okay.
It has to be numeric. You can use a prefix if you want. You can even change the title if you want to. Description. I had a customer that called this. Okay. So type code instead of CQ, you can make it CQ as an example, right? So once I click OK, the next quote, the next customer quote that I create is going to be estimate 1,000. And I can do that to anyone, right? Invoices. If I select right here, I can say that my next invoice, well, I want to keep my invoice at 100. So I'm going to say my last number is 99. And then the next invoice I create is going to be number 1. very simple how to change it.
Okay. And what is this type code, like how it connects? Prefix is what we get the number printed.
This type
And
code here,
yeah.
this type code here is based on the table that we're going to use for the log code. You can modify this. I don't recommend deleting. You can modify the type code, right? So invoice is invoice, PO. What is the type code? The type code follows a table. I don't want to get overly complicated, but the type code follows a table based on the SQL database, right? So the type code for this one will be QQ. That's full, right? So that is that type code. I don't recommend changing it.
Yeah. Okay, like it's completely related with SQL, right? Like SQL.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go in and change it, it might cause some problems. So don't change the type code, but you can definitely change the name, the description, etc.
Yeah. Like at any point of time. Sorry, at any point of time, if we want to change or delete the data, it's possible, right? At the back end, like through SQL.
Exactly. Yeah. We can delete any data that you want. But yeah, we would have to SQL, and since this is a shared database, only we have the access to SQL. We can't give you access.
So it is also
included. It could be stating somebody else. Go ahead.
It is also included. Like we need not to pay any additional charges.
No, absolutely not. No, this can be a very simple ticket support. What we did earlier. Hello, I need this deleted from the system.
Okay.
They will always ask you why, right? Yeah. Why do you need it deleted? But yes, it can be deleted.
Sure.
The other thing I was going to mention before we was automated numbering can be turned off in case you guys want to turn it off. Now, when you turn off automated numbering, you can use numeric. If I turn off purchase order numbering, and I go and create a purchase order, I can select anybody. When I go and create the purchase order, it's going to ask me, so what number do you want to enter? And I can go ABC 2022. Right? And it creates purchase order ABC 2022. Yeah, that's only if you turn off the automatic. Turn that back on. I'll be sure.
But if we want alphanumeric, if we enter prefix, it will reflect like alphanumeric, right? Like in the final report.
Yep, it will reflect alphanumeric. They will not follow a sequence, so just keep it in mind. Yep, okay, perfect. But yeah, so ABC 2022, the next one I will have to manually remember is 2023 or whatever I want.
Yeah, that's.
All right, also from the global settings, you can change the logo, you can change your company details, right? So on those forms, on that quote, this is the information that came up. This is that address that came up. So this information is important because this is what will print on any document in the system.
Okay.
We'll do this with you on your live taxes. I'm not going to let you just do it for yourself. I'll do it. All right, so let's cover a little bit company management. And they love. Let me back to that. Should I have my hand up? Do I have? Okay. Let's choose company management. All right. So company management. Remember on our first session, I said, here's where we're going to add all the companies, whether they're customers or vendors, we're going to add them in the same spot. So if I select add, I have the name and abbreviation in code. Okay, so name, I'm just going to say Aviol. Abbreviation is also required, Aviol, and the system will automatically generate a code. And what is this code for? This code, the only reason this code is good for is when you're importing information to this particular company. This is the only reason this code is used. Okay. So that is all I need when I'm creating a company. If this was a company that I'm never going to do business with, this would be appropriate, right? All I did was add the name, an abbreviation, and I don't need anything else. Okay? I don't need an address, I don't need a warehouse. But I strongly encourage you to continuously add the rest of the information that you need, right? So if you have a phone number, you would definitely want to enter it here. If you have a zip-to address, you would want to enter all that information here. Again, don't be limited just to what's in red. Enter as much information as you can.
Mhm.
All right, so in company management, if I go search company, I can search for the company just like we did in the phone number. You don't need to add everything here. I can partially type company name. So if I just go Brown, here we go. It will give me a list of all the companies that I've opened. If I open one of these up by double clicking, it will open up Brown Air Incorporated. It will give me notes on the top, and any information related to this company will be displayed here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I've done any business with Brown lately. Let's look for a company that I know.
Mm-hmm. You haven't done it. Yeah.
Okay. ABC Aerospace Incorporated shows me that I've done a lot of sales orders. I've done a lot of purchase orders, right? And again, I can make multiple tabs, right? And I can see everything related to this particular company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's invoice history. I can add additional information if I need to. If I right-click here and configure browsers, I can change instead of maybe 6 windows is too much information. Maybe I want 3. Okay. If I go to global, I can also set warning and messages for this particular company. Okay. So if there was warning and messages that only I needed to reply to this company, like don't do business with this company or whatever it is, right? So let's just do purchase order. Do not the vendor, right? And instead of a warning, I wanted to say yes. Okay, so then when I go here to purchase orders and I go search PO, select cancel, let's go figure out PO, I don't know what I'm thinking. Yep, ABC. And it's ABC Aerospace Incorporated. It will give me that message, right? Do not buy from the vendor, and it will not let me move on.
Oh, okay.
All right, that is the end of our session for today. I sent you an email if you wanted to start earlier, if you wanted to start at 6 my local time. It's up to you. Right, if time still works for you, we can do it. We can keep the same time.
Yeah, actually, I haven't got feedback from my other team. So once I will maybe by end of the day, I will reply you back on the time changes.
Okay. All right, fantastic. All right.
Yes.
As always, if you have any questions, email me. I
Sure.
can reply to your email. Other than that, I'll talk to you guys in our next training session.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
போயிட்டான். ஆனால் அண்ணன் இருக்கார். நான் ஏதோ ட்ரை பண்ணுற பேசுறதுக்கு நானே இருக்கேன். சும்மா அப்படியே இருக்கேன். அவன் தான் பார்த்து ஹலோ
என்ன பிடிச்சது